Welcome to the Dirt Broadcast, digging to the bottom of every situation to get to the truth. Here's your host, Jason Mills.
Hello, folks. Good evening. Welcome to the Dirt Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Mills, and welcome to another edition of Union County Troublemakers R Us. We do appreciate you joining us tonight. I kind of spilt some Dr. Pepper just a second ago, right before I went live, so getting it all dried up. How is everybody tonight? Hope you're doing well. Remember to like, share, comment. We appreciate it. We'll give everybody just a couple minutes here to watch the pod or log into the podcast and that kind of thing. And excuse me, we will get on with the program. Again, remember to like, share, comment. We appreciate it. A little sticky. Spilled my Dr. Pepper. Not happy about that. Hello, Miss Vera. Hope you had a good Mother's Day. Sam Cassidy. Hello. Everybody joining us everywhere. We appreciate it. We thank you. I hope everybody's enjoyed all this rain. I'm over it myself, and I deal with delivering products to grocery stores, and so I deal with cardboard boxes and such, and they don't like getting wet. And I don't like getting wet either. So anyways, I digress. Hope everybody is doing well out there and enjoying this Tuesday evening. Like I said, we'll give everybody just another minute or two, and then we will jump into some things. Got a few things I want to cover today, and all that kind of good stuff. Well, I keep getting Dr. Pepper abuse. That's right. I hate spilling. You know what? I hate wasting Dr. Pepper. So, like, Miss Vera, you want to talk about Dr. Pepper abuse? So let's say I laid this can down. Let's say tonight before I go to bed, and when I wake up in the morning, even though it's flatter and flat, I will still finish drinking it because I cannot waste Dr. Pepper. Anyways, hello, Miss Debbie. We appreciate you joining us today on the Dirt Podcast. Like I said, we just got a few things we're going to cover today, and hopefully we have fun on the podcast. I hope that you all enjoyed my comedy, my little memes and videos last week. We got some more of those today. We're doing it all in fun and jest and trying to prove a point or make a point at the same time, but do it in a fun way. Not trying to necessarily hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. But, trying to bring some entertainment to the podcast as well. But we do appreciate the people's media helping us out in those videos. And that kind of thing. Like I said, I kind of tell them what I want, and they kind of make it for me, and then they send it to me and say, how's this? And I'm like, nope, don't like that, do this, and then they change it, and then so thumbs up, good job, we appreciate it. So let's go ahead and get started. I guess it's been enough time. Hopefully somebody shared me out enough. So welcome to the Dirt Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Mills. We do appreciate you joining us here on this Tuesday evening. Remember to like, share, comment, ask any questions that you might have as we go through the evening. Remember, you can follow us on YouTube or Facebook under the Dirt Podcast. You can follow me on Rumble under the Dirt Podcast UC. And the newest place you can follow the podcast or check out the podcast is TennesseeFeeds.com. Hope y'all got a chance to check that out. We announced that last week. And so I'm kind of excited about that, to have our little old Union County Dirt podcast be shared out across the entire state of Tennessee for who knows who to see. So, yeah, I need a haircut. Anyways, hope everybody had a good Mother's Day. All you mothers out there. I know it was Sunday, but I haven't talked to you since then. So I will say Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. We do appreciate everything you mothers do to take care of us, whether you're actually our mother or just a motherly person or what have you. I do have a picture of my mom sitting right here next to my computer here. And as always, this podcast is always dedicated in her memory. And I sure do miss her, and I talk about her a lot and that kind of thing. But you know what? That's my mom. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I miss her dearly. And I wish she was here. I wish I could talk to her. And I went down to the cemetery on Sunday and spent some time at her grave and that kind of thing, and talked to her a little bit the best way I could and that kind of thing. But if you still have your mom and that kind of thing, and I don't care if you mad at her, you got to a big fight, or whatever the case may be, just reach out and just tell your mom that you love her, because I wish I could, you know, tell my mom I love her and hear her tell me that she loved me one more time, and all that kind of good stuff. Try not to cry, so I'm gonna go on. Hello, Mr. and Miss Hale. Hope you're doing fine today. But anyway, so all you mothers out there, hope you had a happy Mother's Day and all those kinds of good things. Let's see. I want to remind everybody about the upcoming meetings. I've failed to do that lately, and that's my fault. I was pretty good about doing that, but just so everybody knows, the upcoming meetings for Union County 911, the 911 board will meet tomorrow for a workshop at 6 p.m. in the small courtroom, and then have their actual meeting at 6:30, also in the small courtroom. And then you've got the salary and the budget and finance meeting on the 20th. The salary board will meet at 5, and the budget and finance will meet at 6, both in a large courtroom. And of course, the commission meeting and the planning commission meeting are on Tuesday this month, because Memorial Day is on Monday. So they're going to move those meetings to Tuesday. So on Tuesday, the 27th, the Planning Commission will meet at 6 p.m. in the large courtroom, and County Commission will meet at 7 in the large courtroom. And then if you're interested in going, on the 30th, the Opiate Abatement Board will meet at Recovery Court at 9 a.m. That's on the 30th. Recovery Court, if you don't know where that's at, it's old Travis Patterson's attorney's office across the street from the former funeral home, now furniture store. So that's where that's at if you're interested in going there. So let's see. What do we want to talk about first? Let's talk about some of the happenings with the school board, because that's what happened this past week. School board met and had some different things. I don't know what sound that was, but okay. The school board did meet, and one of the big things that the school board was talking about, was changing the janitorial, how they do their janitor work. Right now you've got people that live in Union County, just common folks that have a job, and they take care of cleaning the schools and all that kind of good thing. Well, I reached out to some folks today and found out who was behind the push to change it to a company, right? A company that would handle the janitorial work and put some of the Union County folks out of business, and wherever they might be coming from. So they might come from Knox County to work. Who knows? But so I found out who was behind that push, and that was Mr. Clay, our superintendent of schools. He's the one that was wanting to make that change and do all that kind of good thing. For whatever his reason may have been, I don't know. So if you run into him, maybe you want to ask him. But sorry about that. So they talked about that in the workshop. They did not talk about that in the meeting. And we're going to talk about the whole workshop meeting kind of thing here in just a few minutes. But I kind of put a space in between each of the topics because I didn't want them to get confused. But here's what I've been told. As far as the janitorial staff being changed and that kind of thing, my understanding is there was a letter that came out instructing the school board members that this topic would not come up again. And however long that's going to be, I don't know. What I've been told by folks that would know was for everybody to stay vigilant and that kind of thing. I've been told that it's not going to come up anytime soon, if ever. But if let's say Mr. Clay gets replaced for some odd reason, and a new superintendent comes, that superintendent might want to change things. Or Mr. Clay might decide he wants to approach the subject again. Let me turn my volume down a little bit. At a later date, who knows? It's his right to, and that kind of thing. But for the school board members and that kind of thing that I've been in contact with, they have told me that that's not going to come up anytime soon. But as always, stay vigilant. It was the best advice that they could give me, which normally means you never know what's going to happen. So show up to the meetings, make sure you're paying attention, and make sure you're ready to speak out and speak up. That's what it's all about. Going to these meetings and making sure you're aware of what's going on. Some of the other things on that situation specifically, I have a problem when our elected officials, sorry for being all stuffy and stuff, my allergies have been killing me today, but I have a problem with elected officials that refuse to communicate with their constituents, right? It's like they want to come around and knock on your door and beg you to vote for them and all this kind of thing, when it's campaign time. But when it's time for them to actually listen to you, and when it's time for them to answer the phone call or return the phone call or not walk away from you while you're trying to talk to them or any of these kinds of things, and they don't want to. You decided that you wanted to run for office, that you wanted to represent the people, that you wanted to represent. It's not about one. Here's another thing that they get so confused on. Well, I ran in the 4th district. I represent the 4th district. I represent the 5th district. I represent whatever. No, you don't. Just because you got elected in one district doesn't mean you represent that district. You represent the entire county. You represent all of Union County. Plain and simple. And so I don't care if you're a school board member in the 1st district, if a member of Union County calls you and they live in the 4th district, you better be returning that phone call. You better be answering that phone call because that's what you ran for. That's what you chose to do when you decided to run for office. And so these folks that get elected, whether it's school board, commission, mayor, whoever, not picking on any particular office, even though I'm pretty upset with some of the school board members that I reached out to that never called me. Um, uh, it's your job. It's what you chose to run for. And so return phone calls, return emails, return whatever. I've had one that I was actually talking to face and decided that I wasn't good enough to listen to and just walk away from me. And it wasn't like we were in a debated conversation. We were just talking. And so I don't understand that. But yet, as soon as election time comes around, it's going to be, oh, well, will you talk about me on the podcast? Can we interview? Can we do this? Can we do that? Will you announce that I'm running? Will you do all these things? Just like they have in the past. Well, guess what? If you're not good enough to answer my phone calls, or you're not good enough to respond to my emails, guess what? I ain't gonna have it. I will back somebody else. If you can't do what you ran to do, and it's more than just get up there and go to the school board meeting and vote yes or no or whatever. It's actually listening to the constituents. That's what your job is. It's and you know, we can go back to the Ashley Mike comment where she said she does what she wants to do. And then she tried to backtrack it. No, you don't do what you want to do. You do what is right for the people of Union County. That's what you do. You do what your constituents are telling you. You listen, you take the information in, and you do the best that you can with whatever decision that might be. Sometimes it might agree with what you want. Other times it might go against everything you believe in, but it's what the people want. So therefore, you should be more than happy to do your job and represent the people that elected you. Plain and simple. And if you don't want to do that, then you don't need to be in office anymore. It's time to unelect you. It's time for you to go home. Just the way I look at it. That's my opinion. Feel free to make it yours. Hello, Miss Llewellyn. I hope you're doing good. Charlie Hamilton told you to get your story straight. He's got very, well, I ain't gonna say it. A lot of these folks get very cocky when they get elected, right? They get a little power. They get put on these boards. Sorry about that. Like I said, my allergies been killing me all day. They get on these boards, or appointed by the mayor to this and that, and then they run for office, and they get elected, and then all of a sudden all the power goes to their head, and they don't think that they've got to listen to people anymore, because now they're in control. Now they're part of the establishment, right? And so now they do what they want to do, because we're supposed to do what they tell us, not them work for us, right? Like I always say, they work for us. We don't bow down to them. They got it twisted. Mr. Brownlee says, I was very satisfied with Chairman Buck, 5th District member Danny Collins, with them listening to my spiel on the 8th grade girls softball team. Absolutely. I talked to several of the school board members during that situation as well, and I was very pleased with most of them that I talked to. Like I said, some of them chose not to respond to me. I wasn't important enough, I guess. One of those that I reached out to that never called me back or emailed me back or anything else was one that was mentioned a few minutes ago. But I was also very satisfied with Chairman Buck and Rebecca Locke and Danny Collins there, just like Brantley said. They felt what we felt as far as the softball situation. They as soon as I called them, they were right on it. They were trying to get answers, trying to figure out what to do. And so again, I told them when I talked to them, but I'll tell them again here on this podcast. I greatly appreciate them trying to do what was right for the softball team, and I appreciate them trying to do the right thing for Union County and the citizens of Union County, and most definitely the students of Union County. And maybe they don't want me to mention their names, and I reached out to some other ones, but like I said, I didn't get anything back. So yeah. So anyways, got a little ahead of myself as far as softball stuff goes, but yes, um, janitorial stuff, it got squashed in the workshop. This keep in mind, folks, workshop meeting, because we're going to cover this in just a few minutes and tell you what the difference is, because I found it very fascinating how brilliantly, I'll say brilliantly, the school system, nothing to do with the current school board. It's just how the school administration, who knows when, how far back, set these meetings up. Okay. So, but when I say brilliantly, maybe it's not so brilliant, but we'll get there in just a few minutes. I want to cover some other things first and have some fun first before we get into that. But absolutely, John Hale says, remember the work for us. I said that all the time. They forget as soon as they get sworn in, for whatever reason, as soon as they take that oath and get sworn in, all of a sudden, that they work for us goes out of their mind, and it's now, they're going to do what we say and they're going to like it. And I don't appreciate that. It's not how it's supposed to be. So that's what I'm going to say about the janitor situation. Again, stay vigilant. Make sure you're paying attention, watching the school board meetings or going to the school board meetings, just like any other meeting. I announced the rest of the meetings for the month. Make sure you're getting out there. Make sure you're showing up. Make sure you're signing up for the public comments if you've got one, and make sure you're taking part. And just go out there and even if you're just sitting on the bench listening, taking notes, let's do that, and get some of your neighbors to go, get some of your friends to go. Some of these meetings are kind of boring and some of them aren't, but it's better to be informed than just be a sheep and being led down the road that you don't necessarily want to go. John Hale says your vote counts. If you don't vote, then don't complain. You're not getting what we need. Don't care who you're kin to. That's a lot of problem. And especially with the school system, it being the number one employer in Union County, a lot of people are afraid to rock the boat. A lot of people are afraid to actually voice their opinion because they're afraid they're going to get fired, or they're going to get in trouble. They're going to get suspended or whatever. And that's not fair either. They have every right to speak their mind as well. And so that's my opinion. Like I said, feel free to make it yours. And let's have a little fun, okay? Remember, I appreciate the people's media doing these memes and such with me, for me. And I hope y'all get entertained out of some of these memes and videos I do. Like I said, it's all in fun. But let me know what you think about them. I'd like to get some more feedback. If you like them being part of the podcast, or if you don't, or whatever, let me know. I appreciate it. Send me a private message if you want, or comment on here. I don't care either way. I just like to hear your feedback. But so I'm going to talk about today's sponsor first. Today's sponsor is the Boot Liquor Club, and Today's sponsor is the Bootlicker Club. uh, all right. Of course, that's not a real sponsor. I think I used the Kenny Moore moving last week, and somebody messaged me. They actually thought that was a real commercial and was congratulating me on uh, congratulating me on having a sponsor. And I was like, wait, no, I don't get any money for doing this. It's not a sponsorship. It was actually just a joke. But anyways, so yeah, today's sponsor is the Union County Bootlicker Club. Uh, oh, I cracked myself up. All right. There's normally a hidden meaning behind these things, just so you know. But So the Bootlicker Club. Let's keep going. So there's a situation that happened, right? Everybody knows. I still have it sitting here because I know you can't see it, but the Union County dog poop picker upper paper. I had to write that down because I couldn't say it last week. The Union County dog poop picker upper paper, otherwise known as the Union Lion News. The Union News leader. Yeah. Uh, so they wrote that article in the paper about me, about the commission meeting, and lied about everything in it. And then last week, she decided to post it on Facebook, and everybody knows who I'm talking about. The wonderful reporter that we have here in good old Union County that likes to twist stories and make them however she wants them to be. And so she decided to post it on Facebook, post a story. But one of the things I found funny was the story that she posted on Facebook was actually not the entire story that she wrote in the paper. She cut a lot of it out. But yet she still didn't mention the part where one of the commissioners actually admitted, that I was telling the truth, that I was right, and that she received a phone call and said that she knew for a fact several other commissioners, you know, um, also received a phone call, right? I played the clip from the commission meeting proving I was right, right? But anyway, so she can't say that in the paper because it doesn't make anybody look good that's in government. She couldn't make me look good by saying, hey, he actually told the truth or anything like that. So she decided to post that on Facebook. So what I do? Well, if y'all remember the video that I played last week with the donkey sound and the liar and all that kind of thing, if you don't follow the UNL, I posted that in the comments. And of course the bootlickers came out. The bootlickers came out and they had to make their own little video about me, right? Which is fine. You know, I do it, y'all can do it, I don't care. You're not hurting my feelings any. So but we're going to call this bootlicker, we're going to say painting with obsession, because they're obviously obsessed with me because they had to make a whole video about me in my podcast, right? And let me tell you, I looked at this video that they made. It's been up for nearly a week. Only has 198 views, okay? And they have over 1,000 friends and followers. And let me tell you, my podcast is a growing podcast. You know, we didn't start very long ago. And not only did we not start very long ago, but I don't advertise. I don't get on Facebook and share out things all day, every day. You know, I kind of count on you all to spread the word, to tell people, hey, watch this guy. He's actually telling the truth about what's going on. That's what I count on. I don't get out here, and I appreciate everybody else that shares the Facebook post out. And, you know, there's several people that do that, and I greatly appreciate it. And you know, all these things. And, you know, but my little following here on the podcast currently is a little less than 300 people. But yet these podcasts are getting 5,000 views plus just on Facebook, not on, counting Rumble and YouTube, but just on Facebook. So they want to belittle me during this video that they've made, and talk about here's the thing. I don't understand what they're actually trying to point at, or the point they're trying to make with this video. Are you talking about my followers that watch the podcast being in the minority? Or are you talking about them being lower class people than you? Are you talking about, like I said, not being in the majority of people? Because remember this.
Do you all feel like we are in the majority? Probably, yeah, because it hasn't been advertised as well as it needs to be. Well, I know, but it doesn't feel like it. Do you all feel like we are in the majority? Probably, yeah, because it hasn't been advertised as well as it needs to be.
Because remember, folks, you're in the minority according to Commissioner Jesse. You don't mean nothing. We don't have to listen to you. You're in the minority. Now, that was another little clip from the county commission meeting, if you didn't see it, where he actually told this young lady that people that were trying to stand up for the constables and that kind of thing were in the minority, and they didn't really matter. They just shoo needed to go away, and commission didn't need to be bothered by them, right? But here we are. And we also got called troublemakers. And so maybe this video is talking about us troublemakers, that we're just little and don't mean nothing, right? Or, I don't know, maybe she's trying to figure out my PP size. I don't know. But anyways, I probably should have said that. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. But anyways, maybe that's what she's trying to figure out. And that's why I called it painting with obsession. What's your obsession with me? If you don't like my podcast, if you don't care about anything that I'm saying, if you want to continue to be a bootlicker and continue to stick up for the establishment folks, then do that. But what? Why be obsessed with me? Why take the time to make this video?
I've got a podcast. I'm big and I'm bad.
When you think you do a podcast and you are so big and bad, but really, all people see is this. Yeah, work on it, Jason.
I had me muted. So again, I don't know what her obsession is with me, but there's a video. I'm not scared to play it. You can make fun of me all you want to. At least I know I'm telling the truth. At least I know that when I come on these podcasts and I'm doing what I'm doing, and I do these little videos too, when I do them, they're in fun, they're in jest, they're just having fun and entertainment. This podcast is supposed to be somewhat entertaining, and I know people get tired of me just running my mouth on here, so I do these little clips, and hopefully you get a little chuckle out of you and have a little fun. But when you try to hit back at the people that watch this podcast and try to hit back at me and make stupid videos like that, you're not hurting my feelings one bit. You're just showing how establishment bootlicker-ish you are, if that's a word. But you just sticking up for. And let me tell you, if you noticed on the clip there, I started out with the comment section of the UNL, where I posted the Marty liar with the donkey ears and that kind of thing. I did that because I wanted to point out the fact that her whole story was a lie, period. If you read the story, it even talks about how a constable wasn't the one that saved the mayor when he crashed, that it was the constable's brother. Flat out lie. Did she correct it when she posted the Facebook story? Nope, sure didn't. Sure didn't. Still put the same lie in there. And actually, some people came after her for that in the comments. And I appreciate those folks that did that. And they came and they put on there, hey, we did the investigating for you. And there was actually a wreck. And this person was in this car that caught fire. And it was Constable Sharp that did pull this fella out and all this. And came to back exactly what I've been saying. This reporter does nothing but lie. And she embellishes her stories to make government look good, especially it used to be the sheriff. It used to be the sheriff, but it's not anymore because they don't like each other anymore. But especially when it comes to the mayor, county commission, she covers for them left and right, right? It's all about making them look good. Why? Because the paper gets your tax dollars for every advertisement that goes in there. Your advertisement, your tax dollars, we talked about this last week, your tax dollars are keeping that paper open. Not only that, like always, when the mayor wants to butter somebody's bread or keep them on his side, what's he do? He puts them on a board or a committee. She's the head of the beer board. Did y'all know that? She sure is. She's the head of the beer board. Anyways, I digress again. So, if y'all want to make another video of me, a while back they did the popcorn podcast and they dressed up like me and they dressed up like, at the time, Stephanie and did all that kind of stuff. They spent so much time on that. I'm sure as many times they had to change their outfits and all that stuff. We didn't even acknowledge it because why? It had even less views at the time than this video does. So, it's nonsense. And, like I said, if they want to keep doing it, they can keep doing it because I'm going to keep having fun with mine. And it's not a back and forth. It's not, oh, they did it to me, I'm doing it to them kind of thing. I do it for entertainment purposes. Like I said, trying to get y'all to chuckle a little bit during my constant talking. And actually, when I play these videos, it gives me a chance to get a drink of my Dr. Pepper and such and that kind of thing. But you know what? What really pisses me off, like that video specifically, is they weren't just coming after me. They were coming after everyone that watched my podcast. And that I don't like. I don't like because somebody has a different opinion than you do. You've got to come and you've got to play squash mouth and you got to try to shut them up and all this kind of thing. I ain't doing it. I've noticed that if you don't have the right name, then you're nothing here in Union County. Well, that's true. It's been true for a very long time. And what it boils down to is it's never going to change if we, the people, don't stand up and make the change. And how can we do that? Well, we've got to elect new people. Next year, 2026, every commissioner is up, the mayor is up, the sheriff is up, almost everybody is up. 2026 is our chance to take our government back. And if we stay at home and we don't go vote, and we don't get our neighbor to go vote with us, and we don't do all the work that it's going to take, because let me tell you, folks, it's going to take some work from everybody. If we want the change, we're going to have to work to make the change. Sitting at home watching American Idol and whatever else you're going to watch and not go vote and all this kind of thing, using the old excuse, well, my vote don't matter. I don't want to hear it. Because if you don't go, then you have no right to complain. If you don't think about running yourself, if you don't try to back somebody that you think is going to be good in office, you've got to work, folks. You've got to stand up and do your part. You can't rely on just somebody. it's not going to work. And whoever it might be, they might not win, but somebody else might win that might just be just as good. But bottom line is, we're going to hold their feet to the fire just like we do now. I don't pick on these folks, these commissioners and all this stuff on purpose. I just want them to do the right thing. I want them to take themselves out of the whole picture, and I want them to do what is right for the people. I want them to stop trying to get their names on big fancy buildings. I want them to stop raising taxes. I want them to go through the budget and actually cut where they can, because there's waste in the budget. Don't tell me that there's not. Because, when I demanded it last year, or the year before, whichever year it was, I forget, when I demanded it, and they actually went through the budget and made it appear like they were doing that, they only cut $1,000 out of the budget, which was utter BS. But anyway, so going back to this video, you can make them videos all you want to. I don't care. You're not hurting my feelings. If it was hurting my feelings, I wouldn't have played it. But you know what? I played it because it just shows how desperate our local newspaper reporter gets. And because she didn't, and I know she had something to do with it, because the whole popcorn one, she helped do too. And so these two are thick as thieves. They stick up for each other. Number one. Number two, how do I know they had something to do with it? Well, if you look at the first clip that I played there, when it was Marty's picture and that kind of thing, the link to this video was underneath that picture. She commented that link right there. But yet, oddly enough, Marty didn't say anything. She had somebody else do it, which is fine. And let me tell you something else. I'm waiting for it to pop up, but I'll go ahead and spill the beans. There's some people that have some fake accounts, right? And one of those popped up on last week's podcast and tried to throw me off and try to get me to talk about things that they wanted me to talk about and that kind of thing. I knew who they were. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to play you silly games. So I'm waiting for them to pop up on tonight's podcast. And then as soon as they do, I'll call them out. But now that I said that, they might not. But anyways, so, it is what it is. Like I said, what bothers me the most is they want to come after the folks that follow the podcast. And, I can't help it that your paper is the dog poop picker upper paper, and that's all it's good for. Sorry, stop lying. Actually put truth in the paper. Then maybe people will want to read it again. Maybe we need a new reporter to work for that newspaper that can't embellish the stories and make them fit their narrative instead of telling the truth. If I had the money, I'd start my own newspaper, but I can't afford it. But anyway, so we do appreciate and thank the Painting with Obsession folks for making that video. I do like dinosaurs, so thank you very much. Like I said, I don't know what your point was, if it was attacking my people or if it's proving that we're in the minority or, everything else I said about it. But, it is what it is. But yeah, so there you go. All right. So again, Sydney Jesse, if you didn't get that video, I know it's kind of low. He did say that we the people are in the minority and that kind of thing. So is what it is. All right, let's talk about the school board again. Then we got some more little funny little things we'll do, but school board. So we talked about the softball situation. My understanding, they're still trying to look into some things concerning the situation with the softball team. I know that they actually already played the game and that kind of thing. So there's not a whole lot they can do there. But there was some things that also happened that my understanding, the school board is looking into as far as some parents going to the middle school and demanding to talk to the principal and the coaches and all that stuff, and got turned away. And actually, the law got called on these parents that were just concerned about their kids playing softball. And instead of, being the school administration as they should, they decide to call the law and have these parents run off. Excuse me. I don't think that's right either. They should have been more than happy to answer what was going on. Maybe it would have caused some of the confusion to go away if they actually came out and said, hey, we're doing our best, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. Whatever the plan was, like I said, I talked to several school board members during this whole situation, and never once did these school board members was like, well, we need to call the law on these parents. Nope. It was the school administration at the middle school that decided they needed to call the law on these parents. And these parents weren't doing anything other than wanting to know what was going on, standing up for their young ladies that wanted to play softball, that worked their butt off to be number one in the district. And because of the rain, their game got rescheduled, but it got rescheduled when these players were going to be in Washington, D.C. and couldn't make the game. So instead of actually trying to get the game moved and all that kind of thing, and speaking to the parents about what our plan is and what we're going to do to try to remedy the situation, we decided, we'll just call the law and tell them to get off school property. Well, that's not cool with me either. Why is it not cool? Well, number one, it might be school property, but guess what? School property is public property because I pay the taxes. I built that building with my taxes and those kinds of things. And I have a student there. Talking as a parent that has a student there. I don't have a student there anymore. But as a parent, I would be demanding to know what was going on too. I would be demanding to know why the coach isn't showing up at practices. I would be demanding to know why the coach is now in hiding and won't return phone calls or emails or anything else. I'd be demanding these things just like those parents would be, because those girls worked too hard to get where they were, which was first place in the district, right? They worked too hard to get there for school administration. I'm not talking about the school board. I'm talking about school administration and the coaches. To let them down that way should have never happened. Should have never happened. They should have had their back. They should have went and fought for them and all that kind of stuff. And I heard the excuse too that, well, it wasn't us. It was the other team that refused. You should have never agreed to it to begin with. That's what started the whole thing. You already agreed to it without even thinking about the 8th grade girls were going to be in Washington, D.C. You just went ahead. Oh, yeah, we'll be there. And then what happened? You didn't even have enough players to play on the team. You didn't have enough players to play the game. So every 9th batter was an automatic out because you didn't have a 9th player. You didn't think about it. You didn't do these girls right. You didn't have their back like you should have. And, I've talked to a bunch of these parents. I've talked to the school board members and this kind of thing. And a lot of these parents are also upset because nobody in the school, middle school, administration-wise, shows up to any of the girls' games. But they show up to the boys' games. And I'm not trying to make it a boy-girl thing at all. So don't get me wrong. But why? Why aren't you giving them the same support that you do the boys' team? And I'm not knocking the boys' baseball team. I'm just saying. The boys are still playing in the tournament. The girls got let down. These girl softball players did not deserve to be their school administration's back basically turned on them and say, oh well, we're happy with being first in the district. Sorry you worked so hard to get here, but we can't do anything to change the tournament. We're sorry. I don't even know if they got that. They did put out a letter congratulating the softball team and all this kind of stuff and that kind of thing. But that was after the fact that the parents were already upset. That was after the fact that a lot of us already called school board members and raised Cain there. So you let our girls down, our girls softball team. You let them down. But let me tell you, girls, you parents of these softball players. Again, I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. Us here at the podcast, me, myself, are very proud of these young ladies. They work their tails off. And I mean, these girls are so dedicated that the 8th grade girls that were in Washington while the game was going on here back home in Tennessee, these girls in Washington stopped what they were doing and watched the game on their phones because they wanted to be a part of it in some way. These girls were dedicated and they didn't deserve what they got. And so again, if any parents are on here, got softball players, what have you, let them know that we appreciate everything that they've done and congratulations for working so hard. And we're proud of them. And you know, I'm just not talking. I'm just being truthful. I am proud of them. They overcame the adversity of having to be let down that way by the school system that should have had their back. And so, like I said, let them know, pat them on the back for me. And, you know, I hate it for them, but proud of them. So that also brings me up to another point as far as the school system, the school board. So if you watch the school board meeting, they have a workshop and then they have a meeting. And if you pay attention, like I do, the meetings are always quick. The meetings are said and done, right? The workshop takes a while. Why is that? Well, the workshop, I'm going to explain it to you. And this is what I said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, is why this whole thing is genius, right? By whoever set this up in the school system originally. The whole thing is genius. And it's genius because it keeps you and me out of it. It lets them do their thing and basically keeps me and you out of it. Why do I say that? Well, here's what happens. So you got the workshop. Everybody, you can attend both. You can attend the workshop. You can attend the meeting, what have you. And I'm not downing, let me put this out here too. I'm not downing any of the current school board members or anything like that. Hopefully they can get some things changed on how they do things or what have you. Not downing any of the school board members on this. This happened before they took office, just how it was set up. So you got the workshop, you got the school board workshop, and the agenda for the workshop almost mirrors the agenda for the meeting, right? So you got the workshop and they discuss everything, right? They go back and forth on what they think about, let's say, the janitor thing. They hash that out in the workshop. And they decide, okay, well, we're just going to squash that in the workshop, and then we ain't got to worry about it in the meeting, okay? Let's say we're talking about building a new school. Well, we'll work out all the details in the workshop. We'll just vote on it in the meeting. So that's the difference. Workshop, they work out all the details. They do all the bickering back and forth. You'll negotiate whatever they need to go negotiate. And then you go to the meeting. All the meeting is voting, period. They don't discuss it. They don't do this. They don't do that. This is what it is. Let's take a vote. Vote, done. That's why the meeting is so short. Workshop is not. What's the difference between when it comes to me and you? Well, guess what? Your public comments are where? Your public comments are in the meeting, not in the workshop. Your public comments are in the meeting. So I learned this watching the last school board meeting. So what happened? Well, the softball situation. There were some school board members really upset about the softball situation. There was a grandparent that came up and talked about how it wasn't right and how the police got called and all that stuff. Well, some of the commissioner or school board members wanted to respond. Well, up popped the school board attorney and said, "Nope, this is the meeting. Y'all can't do that. Y'all can't respond. Y'all can't do anything. Y'all can only listen to the public comments. You can't respond." I do got to give credit to the school board too. They give 5 minutes on their public comments. County commission only gives you 4, and that kind of thing. So you see where I'm going here, folks? They can't talk to you during the meeting where the public comments are. But if the public comments were in the workshop, they could. They could ask you questions back. They could respond to your question, whatever. And it doesn't matter what the question is. The question could be why we're using 2-ply instead of 4-ply toilet paper in the bathroom. They can't respond to you if it's in the meeting. They can in the workshop, but you're not allowed to talk in the workshop. You're only allowed to talk in the meeting. See how it's set up? It's set up this way. And I asked why. Why is it set up that way? And the answer I got? And the answer is so it protects the director of schools. He can't be attacked that way because he might be asked a question that he has no idea how to respond. So he needs time to respond. So in all reality, and again, not knocking any current elected official, I'm just saying this is how it's set up. So you can go up there in the meeting, your public comment, and say, "I demand an answer for this. I demand an answer for that. And I have this question, and I want to know why this is," and all this stuff. You can do all this, but guess what? They can't tell you nothing back. It protects them. That way they don't have to answer a question. And then as far as the softball situation goes, the school board attorney said, "Hey, if y'all want to have a discussion about this, y'all going to have to set up a whole different meeting all by itself and proceed with that." I'm like, "Okay, well, let's have that meeting." And so hopefully you'll get that meeting. I don't know, but hopefully we do. But like I said, I know there were several school board members that were upset about the situation when it comes to the softball thing. And they wanted to discuss some things during the meeting. But like I said, the school board attorney said, "Nope, can't do that." So hopefully that gets changed. Some of the other things, not only school board, county, commission-wise, sheriff's department, any other thing that I have actually talked to some elected officials about. I used to be an Knoxville police officer, right? And so back police officer in Knoxville, there was some situations that were happening, and KPD needed to figure out a way to try to solve some of these problems. And so what did they do? They decided that we're going to get a public committee, somebody outside law enforcement and some folks outside of government. We're actually going to get people in the community to form a committee and actually do the investigating and then present it to the board or commission or whatever it is. And that way there's no bias. There's no, he works for the school system, so he's got to cover the school system, all those kinds of things. So I suggested to do this to several of the elected officials I talked to. And so we'll have to see what happens. And that just kind of gives an oversight that is not necessarily connected to whatever situation it is. So, like the school board, for an example, if they had a community committee, just citizens from the county, not elected, whatever, and not we can't be appointing friends either. It won't work that way, and we can't get bootlickers. We can't, just put bootlickers on the committee. We actually got to get community involved folks to be on these boards, our review boards, and be able to look into things like why did the middle school call the law on these parents and things like that. And it was just a suggestion that I had, and so we'll see if anybody takes us up on that. It worked in Knoxville. I know it's a big city, whatever. Same scenario, right? And it worked, and they're still doing those community committees or boards down there in the city of Knoxville. Why wouldn't it work here? Same scenario. Just because we're a small county doesn't mean that it won't work. It would work. Just my opinion. Feel free to make it yours. So it's set up so they don't have to answer your questions. And so you can go in, you can use your whole 5 minutes and talk about and scream about and stomp your feet and snort and snot and all this stuff and be very passionate about whatever you want to talk about, but you're not going to get an answer. You're not going to get an answer at that time at the board meeting. You might if you catch one on the side or whatever and ask, but during that meeting, you're not going to get a response during your public comments. And like I said, set up that way so they are protected and that kind of thing. And again, not knocking any school board member or anything like that. It was set up before they got elected, but I did talk to some of them that are interested in changing some of that. So let's give them some grace. Let's give them some time, and hopefully we get some of that changed. And so, but I encourage you to show up to these meetings, and whether it's commissioner, school board, or anybody else, that's the most important part, is showing up. All right, let's get back to some funny stuff. Want to? Let's see. We got an announcement from King Bailey. So King Bailey announced last week that he was presenting a new statue in front of the courthouse in honor of his favorite news reporter and favorite bootlicker and favorite everything. And so that was erected and placed in front of the courthouse, and looks like this. There's your new statue the mayor just announced. But unfortunately, last week or over the weekend, we did have a earthquake, and unfortunately, this happened.
About to blow, about to blow. It hits me like an earthquake. About to blow, about to blow, about to blow. It hits me like an earthquake.
So we did have an earthquake, and unfortunately, the old statue there of the number one bootlicker did topple over, and you can no longer find that in front of the courthouse. I'm sorry if you want to go and take pictures in front of it and all that kind of good thing. It's not there anymore. Again, folks, that's just a joke. I'm just having some fun, talking about the earthquake and that kind of thing. That statue, actually, I should have took a picture of it without Marty's head on it. But that statue actually was placed last week in New York It's actually an African American lady, and so just a little fun there, folks. But anyways, oh Lord, that killed me. All right, folks, y'all got any questions for me? I know I didn't have a whole lot to cover tonight, but it's mainly about the school board and that kind of thing. So feel free to ask any question you got. I'll be more than happy to answer it. Just for giggles, I'm gonna play this this dinosaur video again. So again, I don't have a problem making fun of myself or anything else. So it didn't hurt my feelings any. Like I said, I just hated that they're trying to pick on the folks that watch this podcast. But again, notice what I said when the video comes up. Excuse me. It starts with the comment section off the UNL. You can go over there and look at it right now. Scroll down to where the article is on the commission, and but that's the comment. And notice right underneath Marty's picture that I put there, that is where the Painting with Obsession lady decided to post a link to the video of the dinosaur. So there you go, folks. Hope you enjoy it.
I've got a podcast. I'm big and I'm bad.
When you think you do a podcast and you are so big and bad, but really, all people see is this. Yeah, work on it, Jason.
Again, folks, I can laugh at it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. So, anyways, I do thank you, Miss Painting with Obsession, for giving me a giggle. I've been laughing about it for a while now, several days. So appreciate it. Oh Lord. Anyways, folks, y'all got any more questions for me? Anything you wanted me to look into? Anything you want me to do a podcast on next? Feel free to give me some ideas, folks. I'm just having a good time. Anybody? Bueller? Going once, going twice? Nobody? Oh, wait. Nope. Thought there was one, but I was wrong. Anyways, they don't answer your questions. They don't return the calls because they don't want to talk about it. Been there, done that. Now that's pretty much how it's set up. Mr. Brantley, we had that discussion about a new director of schools. And so here's my theory, folks, on the director of school situation. Next year's an election year. And this is just me. This is just my opinion, folks. Not saying it's going to happen or anything like that. It's just my opinion. What I think is going to happen. So, next year, interview the gray-headed witch. That'd be interesting. Anyways, so next year is election year. I don't know who's running. The mayor, King Bailey, as I now call him, may run for mayor. I'm going to assume that he's going to run for mayor again. And so, what happens if he loses? So here's my theory. My theory is if he loses being elected mayor, all of a sudden there's going to be a change with the director of schools. And my theory is he will be the new director of schools. Maybe that's the position he should have been in the first place. I don't know. He's obviously, in my mind, a better educator than he is a a politician or a leader of the county. But that's my theory. We'll have to see what happens. But I've discussed that with several people, and they kind of agree with me. But we'll see. Maybe he won't. But if he wins, then he'll still be mayor. Who knows? But I don't. I seen somebody ask earlier on Facebook if anybody had any idea who's going to run, and unfortunately, right now, I think it's still a little bit too soon. You can't even pick up petitions to run or anything until like May of next year or something like that. Maybe February. I don't know. That'd be a election administrator question. But we're not going to be able to even pick up petitions till next year and that kind of thing. So who knows who's going to run? Some people might say they're going to run and change their mind by then, or a lot of a lot of what ifs in between here and now. But what is the reason that we have a low turnout of voters? Well, the most common thing that I hear is, well, my vote don't matter. Yeah, it does matter. And just like the stop the steal, right, that Trump did, enough people need to go out and vote so that it's harder for these folks to cheat. Union County on a good election, right? And that means the president's running and all this stuff. You're lucky to get 13 to 16% of registered voters to actually show up and vote. And that's horrible. That is horrible. Shame on you, Union County, for not showing up and voting. If you vote, we appreciate you. But we've got to get more people registered to vote. We've got to get more people showing up to vote. We've got to get better people to run. We've got to get away from my best friend or my family member is already elected and we need to keep them in there. We've got some of these county commissioners been in there 20 years. Some of them been in there a long time. Some of them should never been elected. Sidney Jesse Jr. Excuse me. But you know what? It's what we got right now. And the only way it's going to change is if we show up and we vote. And let me tell you, one of the other reasons is they're going to do what they want anyway. Well, I agree with that to a point. And I only agreed to that to a point because this last election in 2012, or 22, I was a part of. I ran for county commission. I had proof that they cheated. But the way the election law is, you only have 3 days to protest the election, get an attorney involved, come up with the money. In my case, it was $10,000, and I had 2 attorneys going to take it national. But I didn't have $10,000 laying around. And that if I could have came up with that $10,000 and these 2 attorneys that looked at everything that I had, not only would it have been on national news, we would have had to have a completely new election. That's how bad the election was, right? And there's some folks on here that actually went and met with these attorneys with me, so they can verify I'm telling the truth. They were going to have it on Fox News and everywhere else, and we were talking big time. But it was going to cost me $10,000 I don't have. I'm a poor man living in a poor county, busting my rear end to do what I can, right? So anyways, and so what happened? Well, you look at the 22 election, we had the machines go down for over an hour. We had the election administrator out shopping during all this. Didn't notify the state. Actually, some citizens actually called the state and has said, hey, the machines are down. And we had all kinds of things happen in the 2022 election that should have never happened. We had a young lady go fix the machines. We had, in my case, in the 4th District, we had some folks I was running against. They were allowed to go in and campaign shirts and go talk to people while they were voting. And I got it on video and pictures and all this stuff, right? But I couldn't even go in and go to the bathroom. I had to leave and go somewhere else. Or I had to take my shirt off and put a different shirt on. And I wasn't even allowed to say hi to anybody, or I was getting yelled at, right? But these other folks were allowed to go in there and have a good time. All illegal. I have proof of all of it. But nothing was done. Went to the certification of the election. And guess what? I have video of them certifying the election, talking about there were so many problems with the 22 election that they shouldn't even certify it. But they certified it anyway. So yeah, things like that happen, and it discourages folks to go to vote. But we can't be that way. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep going. We have to keep lifting each other up, and we have to do our civic duty and actually go vote, help each other, pick a campaign to be on. I know Mr. Hale, I believe, in that election, you were helping Mr. Sharp, who was running for sheriff. So you got to be like that. You got to get out there. You got to help put signs up. You got to go talk to your neighbors. You got to get people registered to vote. You've got to help. It's easy to say, well, he decided he wanted to run, so he's got to do all the work. Let me tell you, it's hard to do it all by yourself. It's even just in a district, let alone the entire county. If you're running for mayor, if you're running for mayor or sheriff, then you've got the whole county to deal with. But even just in like I said, 4th District, where I'm at, it's hard to get to everybody's house. It's hard to work. And it's hard to go and knock on people's doors and try to talk to folks in between, working and trying not to be out there too late, to be disrespectful, knocking on doors at 9, 10 o'clock. I didn't want to do that. So I try to do mine during the day or, in the evening hours but we've got to work as a team, folks. If you want to change this county for the better, we have to agree with each other that we're going to help some of these candidates, right? And we'll get into who's running and who do we think is going to be good and all this kind of stuff, when we figure that out. But right now, we just have to dedicate in our minds that next year when the election starts and all that starts to ramp up, we've got to get behind some folks and we've got to support them. And I'm not talking about money wise. Yeah, money's good. It buys signs and all that kind of thing. But I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about actually showing up and supporting them and helping put out signs and helping go knock on doors. Let me tell you, if you got a group of folks, say 4 or 5 folks that go knock on doors as a group, as opposed to it just being one individual, it shows support. It shows that, hey, there must be something about this person that these folks are willing to back him up and show up with him and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying being by myself and knocking on the door was a bad thing, because I did talk to a lot of people. I got a lot of information out. I made some commitments at the time that I planned on keeping. I wanted to have a community meeting out here in the 4th District with the 4th District residents once a month before the county commission meeting. So I knew what was on the minds of the 4th District residents out here to take to the commission meeting and that kind of thing. You don't see any other elected official really do that. They might go to the neighborhood watch meeting occasionally and that kind of thing, but a lot of them don't care that much about hearing what you have to say. Where I do. I want your input. I want to know what's going on. But you've got to make a commitment now that you're going to support somebody later, right? So just be thinking about that. We've got some time before all that ramps up, but we've got to do it, folks. Anyways, hope everybody has a good night. With that, remember to pray for me. I'll pray for you. We thank you for joining us tonight on the Dirt Podcast. Hope you've got some laughs and some chuckles and learned some information and all that kind of good thing. And we'll see you next week, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Facebook, YouTube, The Dirt Podcast. Rumble, The Dirt Podcast UC, all one word. Or you can watch us on TennesseeFeeds.com. We'll see you later. Have a good one.
You just heard The Dirt, digging to the bottom of every situation to get the truth with your host, Jason Mills. Tune in next week at the same time for another Dirt broadcast.